So much to watch. Life is too short to waste on lesser things. Today, we share the shows that failed to capture us. Science fiction and fantasy television content that just fell short. Will any of these actually be favorites of yours? Or will you find you're with us? Yeah, let's discover.
Hi there, welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son sit down and today talk about TV shows. I'm the son of that equation, Zach.
And I'm the father, Jim. It's good to have you with us here today as we have some fun content, a little discussion, and kind of different from what we usually do because we don't tend to go negative on our channel. Yet today we're kind of going to get negative, talking about content that just didn't work for us. But we really value your thoughts. So as we put things out here, if you have big disagreements, use that comment box and let us know. If you instead just want to say, oh, you are so right, we'll take that too. That's all good. Either way, if we've entertained you a little bit, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. We love all the people who've been subscribing recently, and we're going to keep trying to deliver and keep you entertained.
Now, I want to give a brief little premise here, just from the get-go, disclaimer, and say, I'm not saying that any of these shows are necessarily bad. Just that they didn't work for me or you, whichever it is, didn't grip us for some reason. It might be that they're bad.
It might.
But it might just be that the pacing didn't work for us, or the style wasn't there, or we had something in life going on, and maybe we'll get back to it. Maybe.
Not sure about any I've put on my list, but yeah, all of this, this is fandom stuff. It's subjective. Some of these you could really critically say, no, they're just not good. There's reasons. But definitely some of them, it's just a matter of taste. So yeah, that's why we're interested in seeing how much people agree with us and how much they don't. But as we get into these, we're going to work through them in chronological order. So from when they first debuted, that's the oldest thing we'll list and then keep moving forward. So this is not a ranked list. This is a chronological list. Although it's only chronological based on the initial appearance, season one, or, and these are all TV shows. No movies are included here. These all appeared on network or streaming television. I do have a couple honorable mentions I'll throw at the end, which is funny. It should be dishonorable mentions, maybe. I'll explain that when we get there. But Zach, you actually, even though you're the younger, you have the oldest one.
Huge twist here. I have the oldest on the list. I get to start. But it's not that big of a twist when you think about it, especially because the biggest reason that this one didn't work for me, I DNF'd, is just because it's so old. Its effects aren't that great. And there was a much, to me, newer and better version to consume.
Break the suspense. Tell them what it is.
This is the original Battlestar Galactica. I watched about 4 episodes, and I couldn't really do much more. This way back 1978. There's older things out there, but this one's pretty far back. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do the toasters.
I was a child when this came out. I watched it on this big, huge console television back in the day. And I loved it because we didn't have anything like this on television coming out live. I mean, we had the old Star Trek in reruns, but this was so cool. It's campy, it's corny, but there was nothing else like it. So I loved it, but I get it compared to what you have now.
And especially for me, compared to the reboot, the newer Battlestar Galactica, I like that so much better.
Oh, that's a whole nother class. Yeah. All right, my next one is the X-Files that started in 1993 and went on and on and on, and then had a reboot with more. And it wasn't really a reboot. It was a continuation after a big gap of time. Don't get me wrong. I like the X-Files, but I've gone back and tried to watch again and pick up where I left off, and I just can't. There was too much. the quality starts to fade a little. It's hard to keep up the high level for that long. And it's just, yeah, it pales in what you can find these days. But even back when it was on live, I watched for the first few seasons and then just kind of lost interest. It didn't hold on. Like I said, it's hard to keep it high all the way through. There are people who definitely felt, oh, this was awesome all the way. I wasn't one of them.
I'll admit, I'm with you on this. It is really hard to stay strong that long. It suffers in the same way, to me, that a lot of like the Law and Order shows do.
Oh,
and it's just,
yes. Yeah.
they've been going for 20-some seasons. That's too much.
Long time. But, Fox and Mulder, great characters. And in the midst of all of those seasons, there are some gems. There are particular episodes that are stand out. And then there are clunkers. There are boring episodes. It's just hard. My next one, see, we're not going back and forth specifically.
No, I got the oldest, but not a lot else back there.
We're going in chronological order of the ones I picked, he picked. His will get interjected where they fall. But I've got a few here. So Babylon 5 is my next one, 1994. I know there are people who absolutely love Babylon 5. I get the premise, and I enjoy the premise of the show, but I actually tried watching and couldn't make it through the first season. It just felt too weak and pale compared to the quality of Star Trek. Like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, there's some parallels there, and no, Babylon 5 just was no DS9. It was too weak in production value. I just couldn't get into it.
Will people come for me in the comments if I say that I always thought of Babylon 5 as knockoff Star Trek?
They probably will, but I don't think you're wrong. Definitely was produced with a less considerable budget. But yeah, there's stories there that people love, so it's all subjective. My next one, Heroes, television series on NBC back starting in 2006. First season, incredible.
Great. It was good.
Game changer. And introduced us to some great actors who are still around doing things. Season 2, big drop off.
Yeah.
And I think there was a season 3, but I didn't watch it.
Well, then there was
we were done.
A reboot series later on that just didn't go anywhere for me.
But season 1 was a phenom. I mean, save the cheerleader, save the world. Everybody was talking about this show for reasons. It was spectacular.
This felt like a show that had great potential, and then the writers just kind of didn't know what to do with that.
Where do we take this? Yeah. A failure of writing. Because it wasn't the actors. The actors were great. All right, I got one more before I'm going to let Zach speak up here. And this one we might have some discussion about.
We have a little disagreement on this one, kind of.
It's The Legend of the Seeker, which came out in 2008. Went for 2 or 3 seasons.
2 or 3, somewhere there.
I watched 2 or 3 episodes, and I just wasn't impressed. It's based on Terry Goodkind's The Sword of Truth series, which I have read the majority of the core story, and the tone of the TV series was so different from the tone of the books. I was turned right off. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. It's an adaptation. They're doing it for a different audience. Did not work for this audience.
I'll say, I watched these as a young teen. I hadn't read the books. I enjoyed it. I knew it was bad when I was watching it. Like this was B-level TV at best.
You were the audience they were going for, apparently.
But to a certain extent, this fit kind of into my zone of guilty pleasure of kind of a bad show that I'm gonna enjoy. And can really like get into it, enjoy the silly elements of it, and really showed and fulfilled what I was looking for of needing some kind of fantasy adaptation in TV without necessarily needing it to be a great adaptation. Oop, rare Rolly spotting.
Oh, I see. Nice. This is a series, though, that based on the actual data failed. It did not finish. It just eventually got canceled. Not enough people were into it. There weren't enough of you out there, Zach, finding and loving the show.
Now,
one note to add in. The Sword of Truth series, your mom is reading it.
I've heard. You told me.
She's digging it. She's into this Richard and Kaylin thing. It's working for her.
So I get to go next with a series that should have been beloved to me because I loved its predecessors.
Yep.
And this one just didn't work for me. This is
Agreed.
Stargate Universe, launched in 2009.
I'm with you
Uh,
on this.
just the setting for it. Some people think it is their favorite of the Stargates.
Agreed.
I think
Mind
they're
blowing.
very wrong. It had some decent cast members, some good potential, but it almost felt like the whole concept of the Stargate system and going and exploring new worlds and all this was kind of getting a little tired, maybe, and they weren't sure what to do with it anymore. The whole kind of story arc of the show never felt truly committed to giving us something good. I found myself getting bored too often, which hurt because of how much I had loved previous Stargate stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I watched the first season. I do believe there were like 3.
There were at least 2, but it definitely didn't go as far as they intended. I think they kind of found a way to finish the storyline in a inadequate way because they knew it was getting canceled. It wasn't going to go further.
Yeah.
It did not pick up the audience. Now, the best character in it was that guy who was leading. He was like the head professor or doctor.
Doctor or something who...
And he went on to play
Rumpelstiltskin in
Rumpelstiltskin
Once Upon a
Time, which also could be on this list.
Could be on this list, absolutely.
It's got so many seasons, and I only watched like the first 2. There was nothing wrong with it.
He has a weird knack as an actor for being in things that I want to love and enjoy sometimes, but can't stick to.
But he's really good in that show. So, yeah. Okay, so that was an extra one we just plugged in. Once Upon a Time. My next one hurt to put this one down.
But you're right.
The Flash, which came out in 2014. It's one of those from the Arrowverse. It was on the CW. Yeah. And it starts out brilliant, and the first few seasons are fantastic. But it's another one that suffers from going on too long. And they run out of good stories, and they start telling weaker stories. And eventually I didn't care anymore and quit watching. Now, it goes hand in hand with the Arrow, or it's just Arrow.
The show was just Arrow.
Arrow. And I did finish Arrow. That had a different level of grit and kept my interest all the way, even though it does get a little weaker.
It has a slump.
Kept me through to the end. Arrow just didn't. It's too fluffy a show, and it couldn't hang on for me.
The Flash, definitely around like season 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range, fell apart and was no longer a good show. And I still wanted to love it, but it just wasn't good anymore, which hurt because at the beginning it was my favorite of the Arrowverse shows.
Yeah.
But you're right, it belongs on this list of shows that we just couldn't stick through to the end.
And yet I'd say there was never a point where I was like, oh, I hate this show. The show sucks. No, I just didn't care as much anymore. So I had other things to do with my time.
The next on our list is probably the most controversial to be on here.
Yeah, you are so wrong on this one. How dare you?
But it's an accurate statement. The show is Stranger Things. Started in 2016. I've only watched the first 2 seasons. I plan to, I don't know, someday maybe get back. I started the 3rd season. I got like an episode or 2 in. And the start of the 3rd season wasn't gripping to me. I had other things going on at the time. And I've just never been back. It's something where I know it's supposedly good, but I've never felt the need to really get back there like I maybe should. And I don't know if I ever will. I know I probably should. But
I have found Stranger Things. There's 4 seasons out, and the 5th is supposed to come out sometime this year. The 5th and final season. I found each season got better, but that was me. Now, they don't always start out instantly, so I understand you started the season, and it's like it wasn't really doing it. Yeah, it builds, and you have to get into it further to really get gripped. I get that. But what this has going for me that you don't connect with is the 1980s nostalgia.
The nostalgia factor, yeah. I don't care about that. I'll be completely honest. I don't.
You're also not a particular Millie Bobby Brown fan, and I am, so that also helps.
But look, I'm not a hater.
I didn't say you were a hater.
I'm not gonna come watch the show just for her in it.
Well, I don't, but it doesn't hurt that I'm like, oh, I enjoy her. So yeah, we will agree to disagree on that one. But for you, that one didn't have enough to keep
Most
your
people
interest.
probably do disagree. But some people might find, yeah, no, they agreed. Starts of the seasons were kind of slow, kind of rough, and they just don't get what the craze is about.
Yeah,
And I
it's
hear you.
possible. This is what I'm probably going to do a rewatch before I watch season 5, just because I want to. My next one, it's another one where I'm like, why didn't I finish this show? What? Legends of Tomorrow, or DC's Legends of Tomorrow, depending on how you look at the title, which came out in 2016. Again, technically part of the Arrowverse, but it's very adjacent to it. There's some crossover characters and all. The first season was fun. I enjoyed it. The second season was okay, and then I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one that doesn't take itself seriously enough. At times, it's very serious, and then a lot of times it's just goofy.
As
and a lot of this is about the interaction between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't dig the characters enough to want to keep at it.
As the seasons progressed, it kind of felt like it became the comedic relief of the interconnected universe. And it wasn't entertaining enough to be watched as a sitcom.
Yeah. So we're not differing on this one then. You didn't go all the way through this series? And
no, I think you got further than I did.
I thought you got further than I did.
You're next. One of mine.
But next, now you're moving on.
We're jumping up to 2018 with Altered Carbon, a Netflix show that I really wanted to like. This was a sci-fi show, kind of a detective noir thing. And it's kind of where I really discovered, no, when I didn't really love Blade Runner, that wasn't a fluke. I don't really like sci-fi noir.
Okay.
I want to. I think it's an interesting concept, but it just always feels slow to me. I get bored.
Okay.
And I think it's a holdover from not really loving the noir genre, and sticking it into sci-fi doesn't make it more appealing to me.
Interesting. Altered Carbon is one I've never watched. I saw the promos for it. I went, oh, that looks good, and never squeezed it into my life.
I think premise-wise, it was really interesting. It was really potentially compelling, and I couldn't.
I believe it's one that got canceled after just 2 seasons.
2 seasons, I think.
Yeah, it didn't catch enough of an audience. Although, as you said, it was on Netflix, and we have no idea how Netflix is making their decisions on what to keep and what to cancel. Just crazy.
Now, shifting away from Netflix, the next one on here, 2019, was an HBO show.
Mm-hmm.
That's His Dark Materials, based on the series of the same name. It starts with the Golden Compass.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're British.
True.
Different title for that.
And the big thing for me with this series, because I gave it an honest try, I got a few episodes in, and I found I didn't really have a huge love of the source material to keep me invested in it. It's not that I have a detestment or hatred for the source material, but I don't think I think I DNF'd the first book when I was younger. I know it's near and dear to some people's hearts, but it's just never really super connected to me. And so I could never really convince myself to get as connected with the show. It's another one where maybe I'll give it another try. I love some of the actors in it, but
Yeah, I am not going to fight you on this one, and we have a similar take. I DNF'd the source material, didn't even make it through the first book, and therefore I had no interest in watching the show. So I'm like, I didn't like what it's based on. Why would I like the show? So I have no personal experience with it. So I didn't DNF the series. I never even started. All right, the last 3 primary ones on our list are from me, and I'll be interested if you have opinions on these. The first is from 2021, and that's Shadow and Bone. Now, Shadow and Bone is another Netflix one, based on fantasy material by
Leigh Bardugo.
Yes, Leigh Bardugo. It's part of the Grishaverse, if I have that right.
Yep.
And I have not read the source material. I watched the first season. Thought it was good. I enjoyed the first season. Second season came around, and I didn't feel compelled to watch. I was like, okay, the first season was good, but I don't feel it calling me back. So I never watched the second season, and then it got canceled mysteriously, again, Netflix, everything indicated that it's the second season had more viewership than the first season.
Mm.
It was doing well, but they just didn't want to continue to support it.
I liked the first season. I never watched the second season. It lost
It
me
was
there
canceled
already.
because of us, Zach.
Like it had already lost me there. I have read some of the source material, which I've talked about on this channel. I've not actually read the original Grishaverse trilogy. I have read the Six of Crows duology, which in book world takes place after the events of the show, but the show kind of put all of it going on at once.
Oh,
and also moved where things are in a little bit. But the best parts of the show to me were the parts that came from Six of Crows. So
okay.
we're good. It's fine. I've read what I wanted out of that world. Maybe I'll get back to more of it. I'm not too upset that this got canceled, but I know people who are.
Right. Yeah, people who are really digging it, and then poof, it didn't hurt us. The last two are shows that are currently still running, but I've quit watching.
Okay.
I just don't care. The first one is Andor. Now, this
Okay.
one, I know a lot of you really enjoy Andor. I had a hard time getting through season one. There was a big gap between the first few episodes I watched, and I just quit watching. I wasn't digging it. And then, okay, I should finish this. Long after it was done, I go back and I pushed through. I still wasn't gripped. I'm just, okay, it's fine. And when I finished season one, I'm like, it was all right, but it wasn't giving me anything I needed. I didn't crave this story. Some people have described it as the best Star Wars on television or the best since the movies. And I'm like, I don't feel that passion. So season two is out and I'm not watching it. I just don't have any interest. I got better things to do with my time. Now, I'm seeing some things on social media on how people are unhappy with aspects of the second season. They're ruining Star Wars and stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, that's interesting. I don't care because I'm not watching. Did you watch any of Andor?
Yeah,
I mean,
for
it's got
me,
Andy Serkis, man.
here's the unfortunate news in general, because I have to out myself a little bit. By a lot of people's standards, I'm a fake Star Wars fan. I enjoy Star Wars. I really do. I enjoy aspects. I enjoy some of the canon and or non-canon stuff. I like the movies. I've seen some of the shows. But I don't go out of my way to really consume Star Wars content, be it movies, shows, or books. It's more like when it ends up in front of me, I enjoy it. So I haven't bothered to watch any of Andor, and I've just kind of stumbled across bits and pieces of content about it that people have talked about. So I have a vague concept of some people loving it and some people hating it. And that is all I know about Andor.
You faker.
Maybe I'll get to it someday in 20 years.
Episode 342, The Deep Confessions. All right, the last one is The Last of Us, which came out first season in 2023. Second season is running now. It's based on a video game series, very popular video game series. I watched the first season and enjoyed the whole thing. I thought it was fantastic. I started watching the second season, had a completely different feel. I watched the first episode. I was like, this is not good. This is not what I enjoyed in the first season at all. And I got halfway through the second episode and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? I don't care. This is not entertaining. And I'm done. And it's like, I think there's only maybe 4 episodes out right now, but I don't care anymore. I have washed my hands of it. It's trash. Okay? This is not what I was looking for in this show.
You're allowed to have that opinion. Some people may agree with you. Some people may disagree. I haven't started the first season. I do plan to get to this show, and I think I will love it when I get there. I'm not sure I'm going to have the problem that you do in season 2. So I can't really say anything either way other than I'm hopeful when I get to it that I won't DNF like you did.
I do want to be clear. Some of the hate on social media that's been coming at The Last of Us now in the second season has been connected to Bella Ramsey, who's playing the lead character. That's irrelevant to me. I could care less. I don't think Bella Ramsey's doing anything bad. I think the writing is really bad. I do not think the story is anywhere close to the level of what we got in season 1. and they're writing what they believe is compelling and what people are looking for, and it's not what I'm looking for. It was a waste of my time. So
that's our official list.
I have two that I might be DNFing, and that's why they're unofficial. The first one is Foundation on Apple TV Plus. It came out in 2021. I watched the first season and most of the season kind of scratching my head going, what the heck is going on? Because it's based on Isaac Asimov's Foundation series.
Loosely.
But there's a lot of content here that is nowhere in the books. And they're just making stuff up inspired by the stories that are on the page.
The stories are pretty short.
So I'm like, did it get me really into it? I will say it's beautifully done, incredible production value, and the acting that is there is great acting. There's nothing really wrong with the series. It's just I wasn't sure I was really getting into it, but I love the Foundation books. So second season came out. I watched the first episode, and then I didn't go any further. But I didn't officially stop. I just forgot to go back for more. It wasn't compelling enough to make me, oh, it's out. I got to watch this today. So I would still like to finish and see what else they do with the story. I don't think it's done, but I have to remember to, and will I? I'm not sure. Have you watched any of Foundation?
I have not. I've not really gotten into any of the Apple TV Plus shows or whatever they're called. I don't remember what that streaming service is, but I may get to it because I think I'm going to start some of those sometime later this year. So I probably will try to start Foundation.
Well, I know
you're
gonna have to hang around with Apple TV Plus soon because Murderbot comes out in a week.
That's one of the big reasons why I'm going to start trying some of the Apple TV Plus things, because I'm gonna make sure to figure it out for Murderbot.
Murderbot's gonna be amazing. No risk of DNF.
Before we go to your other dishonorable mention, I do have one as well. And the reason it's a dishonorable mention is because I don't remember if I've DNF'd or if I finished what's out. Lord of the Rings of Power. For me, I know I watched the first season. I know I started the second season. I can't remember if I finished the season or if I still have an episode or two left, and I haven't bothered to go check. It's not even for a hatred of what was going on. Just anytime I think, did I finish that? I ultimately land on, I don't think I care to check unless there's a third season, and then I have to find out, did I watch season 2?
Yeah.
Should I finish it before trying season 3? It just, I want to like it. I find myself floating in and out of bothering to care.
Much of the Rings of Power has been painful to me. I'm like, no. There's only 2 seasons out. I did watch both seasons. The second season was better than the first, but tremendously better. However, I have not DNF'd this. When season 3 comes out, I will try to watch it too. I'm just clinging to hope. The directions things improved in season 2, they'll go even further in season 3. And maybe we'll get to a show that I can actually say, wow, I enjoyed that. That was great. That's not where I'm at yet, but it doesn't go on the DNF list.
Now I see what your last dishonorable mention is, and I think I know why it's here, and I think it's funny.
Well, what's here is The Witcher. Netflix original series based on the books and the video games and kind of using pieces of all of it. There's 3 seasons out. I've watched and enjoyed the 3 seasons. Now, the first season had me confused as heck. It's not linear, and so I was very lost at times. What the heck's going on? I enjoyed the second season much more, whereas most book purists were the other way around. And then I still enjoyed season 3, even though there were people not happy with ways it was diverging from source material. And I have read all the source material. I was still liking what I was seeing in season 3. And then Henry Cavill left the show or was booted from the show, depending on what perspective you want to take.
I've heard it's creative differences.
Yeah, and they've replaced the lead actor. And I'm sorry, Henry Cavill nailed The Witcher, as I picture it from the books and what I've seen in the video games, but it's more from the books flowing there. How does a Hemsworth replace that? I don't think I even want to try, because it could so diminish my value for the show. But I haven't decided.
Yeah, to me, I think it's really funny because in my brain, depending on how you look at this, you could say you might DNF it because there's going to be another season, or you're not DNFing it because you've decided, no, the show ended when Henry Cavill left. So I watched the show. That other stuff doesn't count.
Right? That's like fanfic.
So it's really funny to view it that way, in my opinion, especially because of how I think you've viewed recasting in other shows or sometimes want things to just get recast. But I don't think you're necessarily wrong for your stance.
So some shows, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You can do a recasting. It's always dicey, but it can be done. But there are a few times where I'm going to say it would be like impossible. Okay, the Mission Impossible movie franchise, if Tom Cruise just decided I don't want to do the last movie, you can't recast that role.
No,
that is
I do
now
think
too
you
connected
can
with Tom Cruise.
replace the lead with a new person, a new character potentially, and make a successor series out of it. But we've also seen that fail. I mean, take a look at the Bourne movies when they tried to replace Matt Damon with Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
It did not work.
So sometimes things can work, sometimes they won't. And I think with Henry Cavill as The Witcher, it was too iconic, too perfect, too big of shoes for someone to take. But we'll find out potentially.
But anyways, that's our stuff today.
Yeah. Hopefully we gave you some things to think about, shows that maybe you haven't thought about in a while, possibly some shows you never watched and you might go check out because you want to know if we're wrong. And if they are your kind of thing.
Maybe you were on the fence about some of these, or you stopped them yourself, and now you can feel validated because we stopped them too, or you don't have to bother with that one.
But we're perfectly interested in if you have disagreeing opinions on these and want to put those in the comment box. I read all the comments. If they rise to a certain level of incredibleness, I also pass them on to my son.
He usually tells me funny ones.
I do. I definitely tell the funny ones. So let us know. Put your thoughts down in the comment box. There's other ways you can interact with us directly. Our Discord server, we've got an invitation down there, a link to go right to our Discord. Got a bunch of people hang out with us there, talk about books and other oddities of life. We've got social media links. There's an email. We're happy to hear from people in any way. And there is a link to our Patreon page. Thank you to our faithful Patreon supporters who help subsidize this content because it costs money to bring this all out here. And we don't make a lot of money from these episodes. So your direct support on Patreon is priceless. I got nothing else then. That's where we're wrapping. Zach, last word?
Nope.
There's his last word. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.